I'm Johnathan Johannes. I'm the managing director of Unicoma in the OECS Islands. Unicoma is the Caribbean's largest retailer of furniture, appliance, and electronics. We also the largest provider of small loans and also the leader in eyewear and eye care. I'm responsible for 6 Caribbean countries: St. Lucia, where I reside, St. Vincent, Grenada, Antigua and Barbuda, Dominica, and in Kitts Nevis. We've been in the Caribbean for over 65 years and we continue to go from strength to strength. Um, Throughout my career, I've led transformational growth, both in financial services and retail, and that still continues today. I've been with the Unicoma Group as their managing director for the last 3 years, and prior to that, I did a 5 year stint with them as their director of sales. So overall, I've been with the group for 8 years. We headquartered in El Salvador, and I think we have exceptional leadership both in Latin America and the Caribbean. And we're just hoping to continue serving the general public with the best furniture, appliance, electronics at reasonable prices, of great quality, and on great credit terms. That's what we
That's
do.
awesome. That's awesome. So I'm really going to look forward to talking with you and learning more about your journey. And thank you very much for meeting with us today. I have really delighted in everything that you say. I watch for your posts because I know you're going to have something really bright to comment on, and you really take time with your posts. And I was very happy to hear that you were going to be starting a book, because you had all this to say, and those little comments on LinkedIn weren't quite sufficing.
Yeah. I really think now is the right time to put all my thoughts together and see how I could put together some literature that might just fill a void in the leadership library that exists today.
Yeah, and what are you seeing is that void?
I believe that a lot of what we have teaches us to follow the status quo, teaches us to conform to what's established. And what I'm trying to do is get people to be the exception, and to be the exception, it, it calls for breaking the molds that exist today, doing things differently, and challenging the status quo. So I'm hoping that leaders, business owners, and founders will find what I have to say informative, and it will help them lead their organizations to transformational growth, but not only for the organizations, but for them as people as well.
Could it be more relevant in this time of AI revolution, really? I just feel like pretty much all we've known up to this century or this time in life is really going to be radically shifting. I think some of the percentages I've seen are 40 to 60% of people will be losing their work, or their work will be shifting. It's, to me, I recall my grandmother who came through the 1890s. She went and saw the 1910 automobile. Well, first she saw the steam engine, the steam, ship, and then it was the automobile, and milk was being delivered to her house. She did not want to use a checking book because she didn't know where money was going. And then, I mean, isn't this the truth? And then, all the way to we would never change the rabbit ears, if anybody ever knows what that is, on her television,
Oh,
because
television.
yeah,
That's right.
she wouldn't get her TV. And so then by the time she passed, we had a man to the moon. I mean, the radical change in her lifetime, I feel, is kind of akin to what our generation is going through now. And so, what your book can really address are the adaptations to leadership that will be required when the external circumstances are so different than what you're used to, that you're really called to step into that leadership role that you're expressing. What do you think about what I've said?
It's totally spot on because with all that change that's taken place, and the change is only accelerating today. So what the changes we would have seen taking 100 years, it's now taking 25 years to match that same level of change. So I think the book is timely. I think what I'm working on is relevant, and I hope people respond to it well because um, Albeit that I'm from the Caribbean, I think leadership is universal and there's value to be created no matter where you're from. And I hope people embrace it.
Well, that's becoming even more and more clear, really, in the global world that we're living in. I mean, with the kind of communication systems that we have in place, I really feel like there are very few boundaries, really. And so I think you're right spot on what you're thinking about. So let me ask you this, because I did get I have followed you in a little bit of way, but I'm trying to evoke how you got on the path that you started on. And as a little person, when you were in your elementary, your younger grade schools, what were you experiencing when you were coming up through your schooling, and how were you alike or unalike? What were your discourages? I mean, I'm talking like, 1 to 12 years old, that type of phase in your life. What were you experiencing when you were really a little person coming through, and what were some of your challenges, and what were some of the things that you find in looking back that really molded you in some ways?
Well, from an early age, I had this natural curiosity about systems, strategy, people. I played a lot of video games, like I must admit, and I tinkered a lot with gadgets. So at some point in time, I thought I was going to be an engineer, but I think that engineering mindset of tinkering with systems and strategy still exists today. Um, but early on, I really felt that my skill set would also lead to a field in management or in leadership or even in development. Um, I was always active in school, always looking for opportunities to lead, always looking for opportunities to learn and grow. Um, while others struggled to gain buy-in, I was able to get people to follow me and I was able to influence others. Um, I had a very active childhood, and thankfully for me, my teachers took an interest in my development as well. And I think that's important for the youth of today, that teachers really set the tone because we spend so much of our times with them that they can impact how we develop in the future tremendously. My teachers took an active role in my life, and they were able to guide me during those formative years and steered me to the path that I'm on today. Growing up with my mom and my dad, that too was also instrumental in building who I am today. I think they gave me a solid foundation, good values, good work ethic, and they really supported almost any initiative that I had. If I wanted to be a painter one week, they supported that. If I wanted to be a farmer the next week, they
Love parents like this.
and they just poured everything they had into my development and helping me find my passion and my path. And
You're
I
really
think
lucky because I have been in schools, with little people all the way up to university. And, there's that research, I think that, I don't know if you've heard of it, but you give a kindergartner paper clips, and in no time at all, they've got 125 ways to work with paper clips. But by the time you're in sixth grade, you're really struggling to get like, 20 or 25. And so we really dumb down our kids in some ways. And in being a teacher, I saw the difficulty that boys particularly have in the American system, where they make them sit there in the little chair with their hands on the desk, and the little girls are just perfect at it because could see it walking around. The little girls are so sweet. Boys are running into things, and I don't mean to be sexist, but there is that testosterone thing, which really it is significant, and the teachers and the school systems themselves haven't really properly addressed the differences and what boys need to really educate and be alive and be creative, and what girls need to really stay included and to take risks and this type of thing. They really need to be educated quite differently. So I appreciate that your parents and your teachers got behind you and really supported what you were thinking about. So when you went on, then did you end up going to university, or what happened to you?
Yeah, so I left St. Lucia and I moved down to Trinidad where I did 4 years of university education. I did my bachelor's degree in international business. Um, Unfortunately, I diverted from that engineering path, and then I realized, okay, I want to get into finance. So I pursued a degree in international business, did that for 3 years out in Trinidad, and came back to St. Lucia, where I was fortunate enough to be one of, I think, 500 persons across the Caribbean who was selected to join the Barclays Bank Leadership Program at the time. So,
Is an amazing game changer. That is an amazing game changer. So
line.
I mean, there were some others that got into the program, and what is it that you felt that was kind of, I mean, not to be braggadocio, I know you wouldn't be anyway, but the thing is, there were ways in which you stood out as a leader that I mean, are there attributes of a leader that you feel are important? One of the ones you already spoke about was the ability to gather others around you to follow. A leader must have followers.
Indeed, and I think too that um, what leaders really need today is an understanding that success is not a solo act. Your success is derived through the success of others, and as a leader, if you have that mindset, it sets you up for future success. It endears people to you, and other people looking on recognize the quality that you bring if you adopt that mindset. The other quality I think that is very essential is to have a mindset of how do I say it? Constructive inquisitiveness.
That's a
And
curiosity. Yeah.
yeah, you must always have that. You must always be looking to learn, looking to grow, and recognizing that you don't have all the answers. And what's important is to ensure that you establish that culture in your organization or that culture in your home or in social circles that you engage in, so that people feel comfortable asking questions and you feel comfortable asking questions to draw out more from them. Because
That
again, you
is
don't have
so
all the answers.
important, Jonathan, because you're looking through that Johari window. I mean, no one, I think in this day and age, if we call blue blue, probably everyone in the room will understand that color differently than we do. And so giving people the understanding of that curious query that allows them to explain what they mean by that really helps build teams and gives them a sense of your accessibility as a leader. I could come to you and say, you know, Rutt, I didn't really see blue the way you saw. And I'm not sure that you're right about that, because then they could be, you know, really together empowered.
It creates that psychological safety as well that I think is very important in building strong teams and allowing people to grow, where they could challenge, they could make mistakes, they could fail, and know that they are learning together with you on that journey.
Yeah. How have you dealt with failure though in your teams? Because, you know, I've been in large corporations and in startups and in consulting roles. And the way that I've seen this work most effectively is when they set up beta sites. And we're going to make the skunk works. We're going to limit the risk. We're going to go all out to do this new thing and see if we can make it work. And if it is, demonstrated, then we have lowered our risk and we can start implementing it across the organization. But in banking, when the numbers are really, you know, in fact, I've been trying to balance books myself here for a grant all day, and it's driving me nuts. And I thought I'm going to talk with Jonathan about this. But the thing is, what have you made failure? Because we talk about being able to do it, but it's not that welcomed really, either in ourselves or in our teammates, or really, it's hard to say, great job, you failed, let's try it again.
Well, there are two stories I always talk to people about, whether I'm giving a seminar or whether I'm just talking with my team members or whether I'm doing a town hall meeting with the entire company. And the two stories I speak about, WD-40. Um,
I
and
like WD-40.
in case you don't know how the name came about, it was their 40th attempt that actually yielded the
I
successful.
never knew that. Tell me the story, because people listening may not even know what WD-40 is.
So WD-40 stands for Water Displacement 40, and the company was tasked with designing a lubricant, a water displacement lubricant for rockets, engine systems, and they tried 39 different formulas, all of which failed. And it was on the 40th attempt that they actually got it right. And this product has been around, functioning almost to perfection from the day it was conceived.
That's
Um,
awesome.
what that teaches us is don't view failure as an end. Failure is
Mm.
the process to get you to success. Um, the second story I like is around Kodak. And for some of us at our age, we know what Kodak represents. It was the largest camera and film company on the planet. Today, it practically doesn't exist. And you wouldn't believe that one of their engineers had the idea for a digital camera. He pitched that idea to leadership, but they could not see past a current business model. And as a result of that, he took that idea to Sony, I believe it was, and the rest is history. Kodak is a dinosaur, and digital imaging is the way we are going in the future. So it
Yeah.
shows that by not taking the risk and not challenging the status quo, Kodak essentially brought itself to extinction. So when I think of failure, I don't see failure as a negative, and I encourage my teams to try new things, have new ideas. If we fail intelligently, meaning we took the necessary precautions, we managed our risk, and it did not result in the outcome we hoped for, we have a postmortem, we do some deep dives, diagnose, and try again. There's a joke I had in banking. I always used to say, as long as it doesn't burn down the bank, land me in jail, or get us fined by the regulators, let's give this some thought, some effort, and let's put our energies behind it and give it a try. If it
I'm
fails,
really proud of you, because often in banking in particular, the tolerance for risk isn't as high maybe it would be in retail, which I know you had some experience in retail. Um, and what, as a leader, like today, I think there could even be sort of a lack of courage around taking risk, so that myself and my profession and my whole milieu of existence isn't threatened. So as a leader, when you came through, were there some choices that you had to make that really challenged you personally, maybe led you to make different decisions, or to withdraw, or how did you recorrect yourself? And what do you, I'm asking you multiple questions, but what, how did you redirect yourself as a leader to stay on course, and to make sure that you yourself weren't going to be penalized for your creativity and your risk taking?
okay, so one good thing that I will say about myself is that I recognize my limitations and I embrace them. And I think every good leader needs to spend time understanding what their strengths are and what their limitations are. Then you build teams to help get the best out of you. Most times we all always focus on building teams and getting the most out of them, but we also have to build teams that get the most out of us. So I always balance my teams with people that keep me in check, keep me on edge, Um, there's this saying that I got from the scriptures, which is iron sharpens iron. So you want to be around people who sharpen your axe every day. And as risk taking as I am, I tend to balance that out with risk averse persons on my team, people who have a more measured approach, people who will question me, challenge the direction I want to go, and force me to think and course correct if necessary. I think that's very powerful in any good team where you have people who challenge each other. But again, it's about creating that culture where people feel safe challenging the leader, where people feel safe asking those tough questions. Uh, I think back to when we were at First National Bank and we had the idea to acquire Royal Bank of Canada. Many people thought it was impossible, and I felt it was easily achievable. I may have underestimated the task ahead, but thankfully, as we started coming around the table and discussing it some more, we all realized, okay, this is a major task, a major effort, and I recognized that I needed to put more in. And they started realizing it can be done. And together
Wow.
we were able
Yeah.
to get that to happen. And on April 1st, 2021, we completed perhaps the most complex and unconventional acquisition that the Caribbean had ever seen, where
That's
small business
amazing.
took over
Go,
the
where, go ahead, I cut you off. A small group of bankers.
took over the Royal Bank of Canada, which
Yeah.
was unheard of at the time.
It is unheard of. It's very good. I think still I have to reflect on my own strength of character and courage, because I love the idea that you're talking about in terms of filling out the team with others that will, do the A, B, C, D, E while you're, down to Z. What's happened to me earlier in my career when I was younger, I found those types really scary. Like, because they were always asking me, well, what about B? What about C? And I was really an effort to enroll them in the big picture and utilize their talent for keeping us on course. And so I do feel like it's not common that that range of leadership that you're demonstrating, and I appreciate it. I just want to say that.
Thank you.
Yeah, so well done. Um, Let me say, besides these things that we've already talked about, what are some of the things when you're talking with younger people now, you're bringing up younger associates, you're maybe talking with young groups of people, maybe you're still giving, presentations and talking about things to younger professionals. What are the things, like the three things or the two things or the one thing that you want to make sure that people get from your journey that you've had as a man, as a person in life, and as a professional, that young people coming up now in the circumstances that they're facing really need to hear from you, kind of a wisdom love talk?
Um, I I find myself speaking a lot about two things really when you distill it. It comes down to two basic principles, two philosophies. One is that exceptional leadership isn't about being busy. It's about being effective. And it comes back to the 80-20 principle. And number two, you cannot be great without the greatness of others. I don't care what objective you're trying to achieve, what sport it is, what company you lead. You really cannot be great without the greatness of others. And I think that the earlier we get those two values instilled in the minds of the youth, the greater their chances of success in life.
Yeah.
Exceptional leadership isn't about being busy, it's about being effective, and you cannot be great without the greatness of others. I find too often leaders fall into that trap of thinking Doing more equates to being better or to leading better. They want to have more meetings, they want more control, more strategies. But in reality, what I've found is that the best leaders master the art of prioritization. They know
Mm.
how to say no to certain things. They understand the Pareto principle where 20% of what they focus on will deliver 80% of the value they seek, whether it be in life or whether it be in the corporate world. Um, that 80-20 principle applies. So, a lot of what we try to do, we are just focusing on the noise. But if we focus on that 20% and we master that, it's amazing the success we can achieve. And in terms of
What are the levers on that 20%? What's pulling it? What are the things that help you discern what that 20% is? That's going to make the 80% difference.
Well, it takes a lot of intuition and being connected to your business and in your life. So in my business today of retail, I prioritize my people, I prioritize my customers, I prioritize my product, and I prioritize my pricing. If I could get those four right, 80% of my job is done. Because if you take care of those four elements in the retail environment, these elements tend to start taking care of the 80% of the noise that distracts. So, better people, more empowered people, better trained associates get you increased sales. Um, when you treat your customers right, you handle them with integrity, you stand behind what you sell, they go out and do the promotions for you and they bring in 80% more customers. And if your pricing is fair and your pricing is right, there is no need to be consumed with discounting and promotional gimmicks all the time. Your focus on the pricing gets the people in. And I just think that if we follow these basic principles, um, they can apply to any industry, any sector. In the banking world, it was focus on the customer, focus on the employees, manage your risk, and ensure that you provide tangible results for all your stakeholders. And when I say stakeholders, I'm talking about, again, your customers, your employees, but most importantly, the communities that you serve. So it takes an element of giving back and sustainability as well.
Yeah, those are very, very good reflections about what it takes really to be successful. And more that you would tell young people, that was one, the 20/80 rule, and what was the other?
The other one was around you you can't be great as a solo act. You cannot be great without the greatness of others. And it's very important that in this competitive world that we live in, where young people from an early age have been taught to compete against each other for the
Mm,
highest grade, for the top spot in the class, for the scholarship opportunities that are available to you, for being first, for just beating out others. I think they need to recognize from an early age that true greatness is about lifting those around you and enjoying their success as much as you enjoy yours. Because when you get into that world of work where you start leading team, you start leading men and women, and you driving towards a particular goal, you need to understand that your success rides on the back of their success as well. And if
it's
you have
really true.
that mentality, you will do what it takes to help them succeed, even at times when you feel that it's holding you back. But you'll want to see
Mhm.
them succeed so that it will breed greater success
Mhm.
for you in the future.
This does not go unnoticed though when people are watching you because it again it builds trust, it builds a commitment and loyalty. They understand that in a way you're looking out for them. They're willing to work hard to make sure that they meet the goals that you're looking for because they want to do it for their own selves, but also they start building like a commitment to you personally as their leader. You know, that's I think that mentoring relationship is very important.
And I'll add something else to that. There's another element. where persons on the outside, not those that you lead, but those who lead you, take notice of how you handle others. And
Mhm.
they will appreciate that, and you will be given more opportunities to lead and more opportunities to succeed just by taking that approach. It's very important that young people.
That's really interesting. That's really interesting. Um, if you were going to be starting out today in the climate, like, like coming through college now or university, what would you be focusing on today? Maybe if you were just getting started today, um, in the world as it is now, what would you focus on based on everything you know that's coming through in the external environment? What would you be thinking about, and where would you be putting your time and talent and resources?
Okay, I'm starting off a bit late in life with this, but I wish I started earlier. Um, Building a leadership brand and engaging.
Oh, interesting.
I think it's never too early to start. I think the tools are available today more than they were when I was coming up. And I think people need to embrace that. Read more, learn more, share more. Um, I, I, I did a piece recently to announce that I'm writing this book. And one of the stories I had to tell was around how writing a book is as powerful as pursuing an MBA
Right.
because it gets you to take a lot of the actions and thoughts that you had and really dissect it and understand it and put it in a format that the world will understand as well. And I think more young people need to spend that time writing, sharing, learning, communicating on platforms like LinkedIn. Like, who would imagine I'd be here doing an interview with you if we were talking about this 25 years ago?
Well,
But
that's exactly right. It's so wonderful, isn't it? It's just
yeah,
absolutely gift.
that's the opportunities that young leaders have today. And the other opportunity that comes along with that is they have access to people. So you could reach out to almost any leader, anyone on the planet. And if they have the time, if your pitch is correct, they will give you a few moments. They will talk to you about the problem that you have. So
Hmm.
I think that building a leadership brand is one of the things that I would say start early. And number two, embrace mentorship, not just receiving it, but actively giving it. So, no matter what stage you are on your leadership journey, there's someone who can learn from you and there's someone you can learn from. So, I would say these are the two elements that I would advise people to if I had to start out today, I would do differently. I would have started those earlier, and it's never too late to start. Even if you think, hey, I should have started this earlier, you can still start it today. Here I am.
Oh,
I'm
absolutely. You're
building.
a young man. What are you talking about? And ask you something. Would you still go into banking? I mean, banking is kind of an exciting area now with the blockchain and all the
Yeah,
stuff that could be coming through. Would you still go into banking, or what would you choose as a career?
I would still have chosen banking and retail. I believe at the end of the day, I was built to connect with people, and
Mm,
I think those two industries allow you to connect with the most customers on the planet. Between retail and banking, everybody needs those services. And it gives me the opportunity, as much as I felt that I wanted to share knowledge and teach, it gives me that opportunity to do it as well. I have 583 associates reporting to me today at Unicoma, and it's a daily opportunity to teach and impress um, and mold young minds. And also, it's an opportunity to learn. There's just so much out there that we can learn from more experienced bankers, more experienced retailers, that I wouldn't change my career path for the world.
that's
Um,
awesome. I don't know too many people that might agree with you at this time. Sometimes you get pressed into service someplace and the opportunities show up there and you just kind of drag along in those areas. I mean, obviously you haven't dragged along, but it's not common when people look back and they say, if I had to do over again, I might do such and such. So it's nice to hear that you still would have chosen what you've done.
I'll steal a line from my wife here. I hope I don't have to pay her for stealing it. But in this world, you can literally do anything you want, nothing
Yeah.
stopping. So even though I chose those as my career paths, I always have a dream of flying aeroplanes. And she keeps telling me, what's stopping you?
Yeah, what's stopping you? Good woman, good woman.
I always want them to, what?
Is she there in the room with her? Let her show her beautiful face there.
She's
She's probably not
actually
ready for this, but come on, we won't hurt you.
actually out in the orchids
Oh,
right
yeah,
now.
yeah, yeah.
So
Is she
she's having a
running out
good
of the
time.
room? I get it. I get it. But I really appreciate your comment, and I appreciate your sharing your wife, because I think that having people that love and are devoted to us and believe in us and stretch us, push us to go where they see that we might enjoy. I think that's an important part of the mentoring journey also, that are in that protective, safe place. They're not tearing you down, but they're building you up. And if you have that mutually, then you really got a gift for life. That's a terrific gift for life.
Indeed, indeed. I wouldn't be where I am today without her support.
Yeah. So what are some of your other gratitudes, Johnathan? I mean, I look at you and I think you've had it just easy breezy, everything being handed to you on a silver spoon and up and go you do. And so what are your gratitudes? When you look back and you say what you're really grateful for, what are some of the things that you just can hardly believe, and that just are so beautiful in your life that came through for you?
I still have both my parents alive today, and I'm truly grateful for that. Um, no one loves you, inspires you, drives you more than your parents. And I think these are the only two people in the world who want to see you be better than them. And I'm
Mhm.
really grateful for having dedicated, committed, unselfish parents who have given me every opportunity to succeed in life. I'm also truly grateful for my wife, my partner, my chief operations officer. She makes this all happen. She makes it work. When I'm at my lowest, she brings me back and grounds me. When I'm enjoying success, she's my number one cheerleader. Um, Without those people in my life, it would be a bigger challenge today. Like I said, my whole position on failure is that it's a learning opportunity. They just reinforce that for me and get me back up and let's try this again.
Yeah, they're there. It's going to be okay. Take a good hug and get back out there.
On the horse, keep on riding.
Yeah.
To the mentors and the teams that I've been able to lead, they too, I'm really grateful for that. People believed in me early on in my career and gave me opportunities that the average person may never get. And again, it's not just giving me the opportunity, but guiding me along the way and never wanting to see me fail. And
Yeah,
I
they
think
just
it's
didn't throw you out to the wolves and say, good luck, buddy.
not at all. They were there for me.
Hmm.
These are some of the things that I hope to pass on, that I'm
Hmm.
trying to pass on to high potential employees at our
Yeah.
company and just give them that opportunity to succeed.
We're going to be coming to the close of our conversation now, but I have really enjoyed our time together. I've been reading you on LinkedIn with eagerness, and I'm grateful to get to know you a little bit more. Who knows where things will unfold in the future? But I also want to have this another opportunity for you to just reflect. If there's something more that you'd like to share, if there's something we've left unsaid that has come up in the course of the conversation, what else might you have that you'd like to share?
Well, again, I just want to reflect and say thank you for giving me this opportunity to share. Um, I hope that what people get away from this discussion and this video is the fact that you can't be great without the greatness of others. It's very important that that message gets through. And also, to be exceptional, you have to be prepared to be the exception. And I know sometimes it's difficult to go against the grain, to swim against the tide, to be that black sheep. But we need to embrace that at some point in time if we want to be exceptional leaders. We need to try new things. We need to not settle for the ordinary. We need to understand that true success isn't about titles, but it's about influence. And we need to all aspire to create a culture of legacy where we leave things better than we found it.